I've been having so much fun lately with the new Orcust deck. There are so many different things you can splash into it as a sub-engine, but one thing that has been really crazy is adding the Mitsurugi lineup to the deck. Not only can the Orcust cards help you bridge into this engine, but they're all dark, so they don't conflict at all. Of course, we're going to go through the deck profile, but make sure you stick around to the end because we're going to go over some of the basic combos that you can do. Not only that, we'll showcase how the engines can bridge into each other and what happens when you already open with both of them as well. But let's not waste any more time. Let's get into some Orcust. Alright, so the Orcust deck, it's been so much fun to play, especially with the new added Mitsurugis. One thing that's really great is that the Orcust cards can struggle with Lancia, and of course the Mitsu cards do not care about that. And the other side of it is that the Orcust cards don't care about Droll and Lockbird, so they have both engines to kind of help with each other's weakness. But hopping into the Orcust, of course we're playing 3 copies of Girsu, the best one-card starter. Alongside it, we also have 3 Heartpour, again another one-card combo that's basically gets you into all your engines. In addition, we're also playing 1 copy of Foolish Burial. I'm including this now because these are just the 7 best one-card starters for the Orcust deck. Of course, we're playing some of the other cards. We have a Skeleton and a Nightmare and a Wonder Wand. Obviously, these 2 are the bricks of the deck, but we are playing a card in the extra deck that helps us get them out of the hand if we do open them. Skeleton is something I would run multiples of, and there are some times where having one in deck is nice. By itself, it's technically a 1-card combo, but we have all the Mitsu stuff now as additional starters, so we really don't need the added consistency by playing multiple Skeletons, especially since we're not trying to draw them. We're also playing, of course, the World Crown, just a generic extender, helps through hand traps or around them as well. It's just another target for our Link 1, but most of the time we're going to grab the Babel, making all our effects quick effects. This is what makes the deck insane, not only being able to set up interruptions, but to play on your opponent's turn. It's so unfair. I showcased some of the basic Orcust combos in my last video, and if you haven't seen that already, make sure you guys go check it out after. That way you guys can see what the basics of the Orcust deck is trying to do. And to round up the last of the Orcust cards, we have the 1 Crescendo. You don't always get to it, but most of the times you do, and having an Omni Negate backing up your board is always something that's really great. Plus the fact that it's technically additional follow-up as well is very nice for the grind of this deck. But hopping into the Mitsurugis, of course we're going to be playing 3 copies of Habakiri, the best 1-card starter. Alongside it, we have a bunch of 1-ofs. We're only playing 1 of the Murakumo, and then of course 1 of all the level 4s. You really want your normal summon to be an Orcust monster if possible, and as mentioned, your Orcust cards can get you into this engine, so you don't need to max out on some of the level 4s. Another thing we're doing is only playing 1 of the Ritual spell, mitigating all the bricks you could potentially play that don't do anything by themselves. Both engines are very grindy, so being able to recycle this stuff for turns after turn 1 really is no problem for this deck. But to wrap up the last of the Mitsu cards, it's just 3 prayers. This card's completely custom. It's a Rhoda that you can use in draw phase to play around Droll. You can play around Imperm and Valor by distributing your cards, and of course by itself it can at least be a monster reborn if nothing else, making it to where by paying 800 life points you can just bring back your Murakumo and wipe your opponent's field at any time. But believe it or not, that's it for engine. After that is just all the tech space in the world. Our first hand traps are the ones that help us make our opponent make half boards. Of course, it's going to be 3 of each Charmy and then 3 Droll and Lockbird. Again, by themselves, sometimes they can stop your opponent completely, but more times than not, they can at least build a half board, which is really great for this deck because both Mitsurugi by itself or Orcust by itself can push through half boards fairly easily. But obviously, now that we have them combined, it's a very dangerous combination when your opponent couldn't go full combo. Another card this deck gets to play that's completely insane is 3 copies of Dominus Impulse. In the main deck, it really just conflicts with Droll and of course the Fuwalos, and the extra deck really only has 1 extra deck card that isn't even an essential card for the deck to function, so really it just doesn't phase this deck. But one thing that's completely crazy about this card, specifically in this deck, the fact that your Girsu can give your opponent a token right out the gate. If you open an Impulse, now it's live on your first turn, so if your opponent tries to Nibiru you, you can Impulse to negate that Nibiru, and that's why I felt like you had to include it. After that's just 3 Ash Blossom, of course to stop the Charmies, and they're generically good when backed up for your first turn board. And then I'm opting to run a couple of Bystials, just good guys against most of the decks in the format, be it the Mirror, Orcust, Fiendsmith, or you name it. There's just so many different decks that these cards are good against. And the last card for a 42 card deck, it's the Call by the Grave. You could easily cut back on some of these hand traps or non-engine just to make room for either of the 2 engines like the Orcust or the Mitsurugis. Personally, the ratios have been testing really well, but again, whether you're making it a clean 40 or adding more Mitsu cards, this deck is super consistent and I've loved how it's played. But now hopping into the extra deck, today we're rocking the Pot of Greed sleeves, but one of my favorite things on these sleeves is the oversleeves from Imperium Duelist. The Imperium Fortress oversleeves are some of my favorite oversleeves right now. Not only do they have the gloss finish on the back so they're easy to shuffle, but compared to a lot of the other oversleeves on the market, these just feel like the most durable, and it makes me feel safe for having my high rarity cards in them. Imperium Duelist has all this and so much more, dice, deck box, you name it. The link's down below if you want to check them out, and again, don't forget, any purchase you make sure you use code COFFEE10. Not only will it save 10% off your entire order, but a portion of that purchase comes back to the channel, and it helps me make content for you. So hopping into the extra deck for the Orcust cards, of course we have one of the new Link 1. You could play 2, but because you have the Mitsu cards, you have so many different ways to grind in this deck that you're not obligated to play 2 of this. I am opting to play 2 of the Link 2 though, because there are some instances where I find myself banishing this card, so having another one in the extra deck is nice if I don't get to recycle it. I am playing one of the Link 3 as well, primarily there for link climbing, but its effect is pretty relevant as well, even as a board breaker or an interruption while Babble's up. And of course, the Link 4. This card is so good. Not only is it a snatch steal on your opponent's turn or your turn as well, but the turn it's sent to the graveyard from the extra deck, you can banish it from the grave to send a card from the field to the grave as well. After that's just some generic links. Of course, we have the SP Little Knight and the IP. They're both dark, so they don't conflict with the Orcust. And again, whether you're playing the Orcust deck or the Mitsurugi deck, this is normally an integral part of the end board. We're also playing a Dynamundo. You do get dark locked with the Orcust cards, but if I'm honest, there's even times where you don't see Orcust cards and you're just straight up playing pure Mitsurugi, but you could always use it as a disruption with IP Masquerena. Another Link 2 I've been really liking is Barricade Board Blocker, and in case you don't know what it does, you can discard a card, and then during the end phase, you can add a continuous spell or a field spell from your grave back to hand. Even if you don't have a field spell or a continuous spell in the graveyard, you can still activate this effect, so it's just a free way to get those Orcust cards out of your hand. There's a lot of times when playing into an opponent's board where I have a lot of extra bodies as I'm doing Mitsu combo, so being able to use those bodies and go into the blocker to discard an Orcust name in the process not only is really scary because of course the Mitsu cards break boards very easily, but even if your opponent can stop you, now the Orcust cards can be online in the grave, adding more push and firepower to this deck to help play into so many different things this format. And then the final link I'm including is the Dark Charmer. This card has really been overperforming. In the mirror match, all of your engines basically require one card, so if your opponent has one of those in the grave, now you can get whatever engine you don't have online. The card's completely crazy and comes up all the time, and while Mitsurugi is more represented than Orcust, it's still something you definitely want to play, and the fact that it doesn't conflict with any of the engines is so good. But now hopping into the Exceeds, we have of course King of the Pharaoh Lamps. This is the rank 4 that helps bridge into the Mitsurugis. You use the Orcust cards to make this. Again, this is a dark, so there's no confliction. We do play another rank 4, it's a Dugaris. It's not a dark, so it's a little harder to make in the deck, but since you're playing the Mitsurugis, you might as well include it, because even if you go through all your resources, at least making a rank 4 can get your whole Mitsurugi board wiped back online. But after that, we have of course the Dingirsu. Again, a card you could play 2 of, but for sure you're at least playing 1. There's no reason to really explain this card, but one thing that's really neat is technically your Mitsurugis can make this card and then help bridge into the Orcust combo, because it only takes an Orcust monster to make the Link 1. Obviously, this doesn't mean you get everything online, but maybe if you had an Orcust name in your hand that you wanted to discard with that Link 1, it can actually get you somewhere. But more times than not, the way you get to the Orcust engine with your Mitsurugis is with Zombie Vampire. You deck thin a bunch in the process, and then you mill 5. And if you happen to hit an Orcust name, now you're off to the races. And if you just hit like a hand trap or something, you know you can at least set up like an IP Masquerena with a board wipe behind it. And again, in any of these Mitsurugi or Orcust matchups, this card can also hit it out of your opponent's deck as well, which is pretty dang hilarious. After that's just the Typhon. It's a great board breaker, and while you don't absolutely need it, you might as well include it because it has no confliction with the deck, but that makes up the extra deck, so let's hop into some combos. Alright, so I'm going to showcase a couple of 1-card combos, or I guess 1.5 because you discard a card for the Link 1. As I mentioned, the Orcust will bridge into the Mitsurugis, but we'll also showcase how the Mitsurugis can potentially bridge into the Orcust and what happens when you open both engines as well. For the first combo though, we'll just go over the Orcust portion. This will be the Girsu combo, and it's very similar to the Harp Horror combo as well. With Harp Horror though, you won't get the extra bodies from the token, and it is a little weaker to Nibiru, but essentially the line is very similar. But to start things off, of course, we'll normal summon the Girsu, we'll use its effect and send that Harp Horror from deck to grave. Now, since it's the only monster on the field, we can give ourselves a token and our opponent as well. Then right away, we'll link it off, go into our Link 1, and we'll discard a card to search. Here we're going to pick up the Babble, and then we'll activate it right away. Pretty straightforward here. Of course, we're going to go ahead and use the Harp, summon one from deck. This will get us the Nightmare, and now technically we can get hit with Nib at any time, but they're going to wait till we use our graveyard names all the way before they nib us. From here, we'll go ahead and link again. Go into our link 2, and before we use its effect to search, we're going to actually use the Nightmare right now. Here we're going to get the wand. We can get the simple skeleton on our opponent's turn, technically, again, assuming we go uninterrupted. Next, we'll go ahead and use our link effect now. Again, I don't think they would nib us here because we still have some extension if they do. We'll go ahead and put back our Nightmare. Get our Omni Negate online, and then the nice part about this is now any point after this, if you get nibbed and cut off of the Mitsurugis, you have the link 1 that can bring itself back, making your Omni Negate live. And even if they go to battle phase to run over it with their nib, it's a quick effect now from the Babel, so you can just bring it right back after they run it over, so it'll still be live. But again, we're going to assume everything goes through for the sake of the combo. We would use the World Wand to now bring back the Heart Pour, and again, this is most likely when they would nib. If not, it'd be after this rank 4, King of the Feral Imps, which again gets us our Mitsurugis and will get us nibbed right away if they do have it. Assuming they don't though, we'll go ahead and detach and search. Here we'll pick up the Habakiri and we'll activate its effect right away, revealing itself. Saji hits the field, and I like tributing it off just in case maybe they were holding like a Veiler. Its effect will grab us the Ritual spell, which will fire off right away to summon the Ritual from our hand. We'll send the other 2 level 4s to the grave, and of course both effects will activate. We'll add another Habakiri and of course recycle the Ritual spell as well. And it's pretty straightforward. We'll fire it off. We'll tribute the monster on the field. Murakumo will hit the field, and then of course this effect will activate to bring itself back. And you have the option to of course wipe the token now, or you can do it later, because technically we will proc this a second time, but it's up to you. Again, the nice thing about this token being on the field is if you did open something like Impulse, technically this now stops Nibiru, which is really good. But again, we're assuming no interruptions and of course no exterior factors. But after that resolves, we'll just say we wipe the token, and of course we're going to search as well. This will grab the prayers, and then now if any other hand traps come our way, it's nice because technically Murakumo will require them to discard a card, so that's pretty neat as well. But once that's all said and done, we'll go ahead and Exceed now. We're going to go into Ding, not only because its effect will get us more follow-up, but by the time we're done with the combo, the Heart Pour will be in the grave as well, so we know we can go into another Girsu on our opponent's turn to dump the Simple Skeleton that can bring out the Girsu on our opponent's turn for another interruption as well. Now, we're just going to go ahead and start link climbing. We can take our 3 bodies. This will go into our long Girsu, and now we can bring our link 1 back by, of course, banishing the Girsu we used earlier. This, of course, will now go into our link 4, and while this board by itself is good enough just to end on, you can go a little bit further now. I like activating the Mitsurugi prayers, tributing this off to bring a body back from the grave. It doesn't matter which one. After doing so, of course, the ritual will bring itself back, and we also get a search. This will replace itself, making it to where we still for sure have a board wipe on our opponent's turn, but in the process, it got us an extra body, so now we can link these 2 off and go into our IP Masquerena. When it's all said and done, of course, you'll set the prayers face down and you'll have the Crescendo as well. But as a little summary, of course, you have the Omni Negate with Crescendo and IP into SP. This is really cool because, again, it's 1 banish for an interruption and potentially a second one with its quick effect as well. Another thing to note, though, is that now that we've gone ahead and thrown this in the grave, with Babel, it's a quick effect to banish itself to send a card from the field to the grave as well. But also, don't forget, since you have the Omni, if you did have to do the SP before you did the Omni, at any time, you can use the link 1 to bring itself back by banishing one of your Orcus. Again, it's not really an interruption, but it's just a way to keep this live. But as mentioned, don't forget, you have the Heart Pour in the grave as well. So during any time during your opponent's turn, you can use its effect, summon out a Girsu, and then use its effect on summon. Go ahead and send our skeleton, and again, everything's a quick effect, so we can use that. Ding will hit the field and send another card to the grave. We've banished a card. We sent a card with the link 4. Now we're sending a card with our Exceed. And as mentioned, potentially banishing another card with this SP and the Omni Negate as well. But don't forget, at any time, you can fire off the prayers, pay 800 life points, and wipe the field with our Murakumo as well. Again, so many different layers of things coming out of the grave to just keep your opponent off of cards, which is solid because removal is so good in this format right now. Alright, so next is going to be the Habakiri combo. Again, just 1 card, and this has the potential to hit the Orcust stuff, but even if not, you know, at a bare minimum, you're just going to do the standard Mitsurugi combo. So starting things off, of course, you'll activate the effect, reveal it to summon 1 from deck. Saji hits the field, and of course, gets tributed right away. And again, assuming everything goes interrupted, we'll grab the Ritual spell and activate it right away. Once again, we'll send the 2 other level 4s to summon the Ritual. The 2 effects will activate. We'll grab another one of the Rituals, and of course, the spell will recycle itself as well. And just like last time, we'll fire off the spell, tributing the monster on field. Murakumo hits the field, and then the Ritual brings itself back. And now we can add, of course, the prayers from our deck to our hand. Pretty straightforward, just like any Mitsurugi combo. This is where you can go into Dynamundo or IP Masquerena. But since we have the prayers that could potentially be a board wipe, this is actually where we're going to exceed summon now. This is where we go into the zombie vampire, and it's okay because, well, obviously we want to hit an Orcust name so we can keep comboing, but even if we don't, as long as we hit a monster, those bodies can then go into the IP, and then you can still board wipe into an IP, into an SP or Dynamundo or whatever. You still have multiple layers of interruptions, even as this misses an Orcust name. But of course, we're going to go ahead and give this a good shuffle, and hopefully we hit an Orcust name. But again, if not, I'll go ahead and show what the deck can do without it. And well, okay, so here we hit everything. So it's pretty self-explanatory. You didn't even need any of this, but the fact that you have it is ignorant. Heck, since you hit a Magnemite and we have the Druids, you could hit this, get another search as another interruption, because you have all this to keep playing anyway, might as well get more. Again, this is all part of the gambit, but after this point, you kind of pivot and decide what to do. And again, these 5 cards could have literally been anything, again, as long as there's a monster. Again, this was supposed to be detached, so even if you hit something like an Ash Blossom on the field, since this is already in the grave, you just link these off, go into your IP Masquerena, and then during your opponent's turn, of course, you can prayers to board wipe them, and then IP into SP as well, excluding all the Orcust names that we had to go into what basically is going to be an even better portion of the last combo. And now for combo number 3, we'll just show what happens if you have both already and you don't have to use the Orcust engine to get into the Mitsurugis or vice versa. Of course, in the case of Girsu, you'll want to start with it because you need it to be by itself with a token. So again, we'll normal summon it and use its effect. Harpoor will hit the grave, and then once again we'll use its token effect. You'll get a token, your opponent gets one as well, and then here I like using Habakiri and waiting to link summon until later. Saji hits the field and of course gets tributed, grabs the ritual spell just like last time. And again, the reason why I'm doing this part first is because the link one can be made with the token, and you will get a free Habakiri in the process, so that's just going to be the discard fodder for the combo. Now just like last time, we'll use the ritual spell to summon our ritual. Once again, we'll send the 2 level 4s. We'll add back the ritual and another copy of the ritual monster, and just like last time, we'll activate the spell right away, tributing the one on the field, bring out our Murakumo, and then of course both effects can activate. This is where you could wipe the token, or you could leave it if you had something like Impulse and you're playing around Nibiru to showcase the combo. We'll just say that it gets wiped. Again, we can get this back later if you want, because here again we are going to go ahead and grab up prayers from deck to hand, and now we're basically good to go. Even if we got Nibiru during any of this, we didn't care because we still have the Harpoor in the grave to continue with the Orcust combo. And again, this is going to chill on the field to make them discard a card if they try to hand trap us any other time after this. So now we can go ahead and link this off. We'll go into the link one, and then again, like I mentioned, discard the extra card that we searched in the process. We'll pick up the Babel, we'll activate it right away. We'll fire off the Harp to get us a Nightmare from deck and summon it to the field, and then once again we'll go straight into a Link 2 play. Galtea hits the field, and then of course we'll use Nightmare to send one from deck to grave. It's really up to you what to grab. You can get the Wand, or in this case I'm just going to send the Skeleton. We'll go ahead and use our Galtea. We're going to shuffle back that card, so now we have the Omni Negate. Once that all resolves though, we'll go ahead and use our Link 2 to shuffle back our Nightmare to search. This will set the counter trap face down. Again, another interruption. Next, we'll go ahead and fire off the Skeleton. We'll bring back our Link 1 just for Link fodder, because right away we're going to go ahead and take our Link, go into our Ding to recycle the Skeleton. That way we have another interruption on our opponent's turn. And then now we have 3 bodies. We can go ahead and send them off. We go into our Longirsu, and even though we brought back the Link 1, we did not bring it back with its own effect, so we'll go ahead and do that now. We'll banish that Girsu, bring it out to the field, and then just like last time, we could link these off. And now our Link 4 has hit the field, and this is basically the board we had last time, and you can go straight into IP now. So again, it's up to you. You could fire off the prayers just like last time if you wanted to get the extra body to make the IP with those 2. And again, this comes back and grabs another prayer, so that way you can do that on your opponent's turn as well. It just gets you an extra body doing it that way, and technically deck thins by 1, but again, I like leaving the resource in the deck if I don't have to. So from here, you can just go ahead and link these off and go into IP Masquerena. Again, you probably can do a lot more, but this is just the safest way through different hand traps. It just insulates the combo a little bit easier. But again, just like last time, at a bare minimum, you'll have the board wipe at any time, the Omni Negate, and again, you can make it live by bringing your Link 1 back at any time, because again, you might link off your Link 4 for your IP Masquerena, banishing a card, and then potentially banishing another card, and then again, potentially sending a card as a quick effect because you have the field spell. And then of course, we have the Simple Skeleton already in the grave, so technically you could just bring this out to send the card as well. I'm telling telling you, the interruptions are so varied and it's so good. Again, firing off the quick play, bringing out a board wipe as well. This deck is so crazy, and don't forget, even before the whole IP-SP thing, I think I forgot to mention it, but this thing is a snatch steal as well. So before you even go IP into SP, this thing could steal your opponent's monsters as well. So in that first combo, before you do that, don't forget, you can use this effect to recycle any of the banished names. Again, in this case, this was in the grave. But in all the combos, at a bare minimum, you will always have a Gearsu banished that you can recycle for your Link for as well. But that's going to wrap things up for today's video. Thanks again for tuning in. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know a lot of you guys were requesting the Mitsurugi deck in the last Orcust video. Of course, comment down below if there's anything else you want to see. But again, as always, thanks for tuning in, and here's hoping to see you on the next one. Peace.